In today's video, we're going to talk about two stocks, NA and EYEN. Both had a crypto treasury strategy catalyst on the 24th of June and made crazy moves. We're going to analyze their catalysts and see how you could have traded them. If you're not new here and you watched my videos previously, you should know by now that crypto treasury strategy catalyst is pretty hot in the current market. I even made a playlist that you should find somewhere on my page where you can find my analysis on stocks that had a similar catalyst in the last month or so. And if you're new here, I provide daily catalyst-based day trading analysis and weekly catalyst-based swing trading analysis. So if you want to develop an edge around news and catalysts that spark explosive stock moves, make sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell. Okay, so let's start with NA. NA is Nano Lab Ltd. This is a semiconductor company. Had a news on the 24th of June, as I said. And basically, they announced a 500 million convertible notes private placement for BNB Treasury strategy. So immediately you see this, you understand that there is significant money that's going to go into their treasury strategy. So this is already super bullish, but we're going to look into the details of this catalyst. So Nano Labs Ltd, a leading Web 3.0 infrastructure and product solution provider in China, today announces that it has entered into a convertible notes purchase agreement under which the company has agreed to issue and several investors have agreed to subscribe for a convertible promissory notes in the aggregate principal amount of $500 million. These are the notes. The notes will mature in 360 days, so essentially in about a year following the issuance, with no interest accruing on the outstanding principal amount. During the 360 days from the date of these notes, the notes are convertible in whole or in part into the Class A ordinary shares of the company at the option of the holder thereof. The conversion price is initially $20 per ordinary share. Mind you that around the time the announcement was made, the stock was trading at around $11. Okay, so subject to adjustments as set forth in the notes, unless previously converted, the company shall repay the outstanding principal amount on the maturity date. The notes shall be an unsecured general obligation of the company. The closing under the agreement is subject to customary closing conditions. So it hasn't been closed yet. Okay, that's a little bit of a sort of reservation about the news. The other reservation I had was that it's a Chinese company. It's a company that, you know, the business is in China, but it's also a Chinese company. Okay, and so the company plans to acquire, that's the key point here. The company plans to acquire a $1 billion worth of BNB via convertible notes and private placement. Over the long term, Nano Lab aims to hold 5% to 10% of BNB total circulating supply. Okay, so let's recap this news in simpler terms. So essentially, this is a news that says that this Nano Lab company is borrowing 500 million and promising to repay them from multiple investors and promising to repay them in 360 days, so in about a year, without paying any interest. And essentially, the investors have an option to convert these the notes that they will receive in exchange for the money into shares of the company at the price of $20 per share. So essentially, for these investors, if Nano Lab stock rises above $20, these notes become profitable, and then it will be an interesting thing for these investors to convert them. If they stay below, then they can just request their money back. What this thing does in terms of signaling to the market, a lot of confidence that the stock will actually or is likely to rise above $20 in the space of this, in the course of the year, of the 360 days. They have that confidence that it actually go beyond that, and that is why these investors are subscribing to these notes. Otherwise, what would be the interest? They are not receiving any interest. They're just giving money to the company and receiving back the principal in a year time, right? So very, very bullish, but also the other side of this is the fact that this money will be used to buy these BNB, which are the Binance coins, which you should know by now that the market sees this as very bullish, because there is a belief that there is a potential significant upside in investing in cryptocurrency. And so the only reservations I had about this news is the fact that it was still, well, first of all, it's unsecured loans, but that's okay. But the fact that it hasn't completed full due diligence. They mentioned something about there's no guarantee that it's going to pass the closing standard closing conditions. And the other reservation I had was the fact that it's a Chinese stock, and sometimes they tend to be a little bit manipulated, and but it still reacted very positively, and we can look at the price reaction of the stock now. Okay, so we're looking at the 2-minute chart of Nanolab here, as well as the daily chart here. As you can see, around the time the news was out, actually the stock was trading on very low volume, because it was out actually pretty early in the day, around 6 o'clock. And so a lot of the trading is still not yet open around that time. So on very, very light volume. But then around the time 6:44, closing, getting closer to 7 o'clock, that's when the stock started moving. The whole move was around 160%. And for my particular strategy, where I entered on the second leg, the move here was 68% total. Now, the fact that this was a crypto treasury strategy related catalyst, and the fact that it took a little bit of time here for the stock to go up, and there wasn't any overreaction in the first few minutes, it wasn't so dangerous actually to enter the stock somewhere here. As you can see, every candle here is around, this one is 12%, the other one is 14%. So there isn't this usual super crazy reaction on the first or second candle of the 2-minute or 1-minute candle, and then you're expecting some pullback and watching the pullback and folding and see if there is an opportunity to enter on a second leg, or if the move has completely faded. So in this case, it wasn't so dangerous, so in terms of risk reward, to enter somewhere here, but you can still always follow, like what I do anyways, the second leg, which was here. So this breakout here above VWAP, and then a bit of a sideways action, and then the stock took off again. Now, what you can see happened after the market opened is a complete fade. So the stock gave up a lot of the gains, even on the first day and as well as the second day. What's next for this stock is I keep it on my watch list, and I will see if there is a low risk entry. They tend to happen for these crypto related catalysts, where they would have an overreaction on the first and second day, a bit of a sell-off, and then they will go back up. But you'll need to, for this to kind of to have confidence, you need to see some green volume on the day of the breakout that it happens. So I'll keep this stock on my watch list. I'll be watching it, but it doesn't mean I will enter again blindly. I'll wait to see some signs of an interesting breakout and a potential swing of 3 to 5 days. Next stock we're looking at is Inovia, EYEN. So that's a biotech company that had a news, very similar news. And the news was that they were announcing the closing of 50 million private placement, and that they were accumulating, so successful accumulation of more than 1 million HYPE tokens. So anyway, let's look at the details. So Inovia, a pioneer in ophthalmic technology, that's actually completely irrelevant here, and the first publicly listed US company to build a strategic treasury of HYPE. That is relevant though. The native token of the Hyperlink protocol today announces the closing of its previously announced 50 million private placement, PIPE, with accredited investors. The PIPE financing enables the company to acquire this number, it's more than 1 million HYPE, at an average price of approximately $34 per token. As part of the strategy, the company also intends to initiate its own network validator alongside an ecosystem partner, which will support the liveness of the Hyperlink blockchain and lay the foundation for accessing HYPE staking yield. Next is a statement by the CEO. Okay, the closing of this transformational financing is the first step in executing a new cryptocurrency treasury reserve strategy. We believe this initiative will create a long-term value for our shareholders and capitalists. These has been their statements ever since this cryptocurrency strategy hype. The step we're taking are intended to provide the best vehicle for retail and institutional investors to access HYPE and its native yield in a secure, customized environment. Okay. And in connection with the pending board approval in the coming days, Inovia is expected to change its name and ticker to something else. Okay. And that's all there is about this news. This news is actually not new. So they've announced that they were intending to do this a few days before, but on this day they announced the closing of this particular deal. So let's see how the stock reacted to this news now. So we're looking at the 2-minute chart of EYEN over 2 days, because the move actually had a second day, a continuation day here. So on the day of the news, you can see that there was a pre-market reaction. That was actually the first leg, and there was just a sideways action there until the market open. But on the market open here, you can see that there is volume and that the stock is taking off a little bit. So the move here was in total of a 43%. You can easily capture something like 30%, 27%, something like that. On the second day, so here, because you see on the first day the move was completely faded, then it went a little bit kind of trying to go to VWAP, then was rejected and just continued sideways. Nothing happening here. Then pre-market action, absolutely nothing happening. But then there was an incredible move on the second day. So the whole move was 60% roughly, and you can see it had actually 2 legs. So if you're unsure, you could skip the first leg and see if a second leg happens. Although when a stock had a move, made a move and had a catalyst, made the first move on the first day, and it's the second day, and it's actually making a move again at the market open, usually it is not as risky of an entry as if it was the first day doing that. So based on the catalyst, it's possible to enter right at the breakout here, so on the market open. But as I said, if you want to be more cautious, you could wait for the second leg, keeping in mind that sometimes second legs don't happen. So let's just see how much was the second leg here. It was 45%, so it was a very, very nice move. Now, what's next for this stock? I'm actually not sure if I'm looking for a swing. First of all, it already had if you look at the daily chart here, it already had 3 green days, 3 consecutive, one of them being that second day when it made this nice move. And so I'm not sure, based on the catalyst also, that it has more steam to go further. That move is already about 129%. So I wouldn't be looking, I'll keep an eye on this stock, but I wouldn't be looking for a swing trade from here. I think the move has already happened. I think it was a good example of different behaviors of these crypto strategy related catalysts, that sometimes the whole move can happen in one day, sometimes it takes 2-3 days, and sometimes it does react very aggressively on the first day. It gives up the gains the second day, third day, and then it has a delayed reaction when a second move happens. So anyway, it gives you few different types of moves, few different setups for the same type of catalyst. That's it for today. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. As always, please share, like, and subscribe to my channel if you like my videos, and thank you for watching.